A number of footballing families lived in Seamus McElwain's townland of Eshekrinn, so it was inevitable that he would be persuaded as a boy to join their ranks. Right, Seamus, when did you first get involved in the football?
Probably the first exposure to football was when I went to Knockatown School. I went to Knockatown School, actually only Conley took me to school, and we played football at lunchtime, and it was a great time with the Morgans and Beggins and John Pat Corrigan and Jimmy Train of Eshnedloch was a great footballer as well. And then I went to, my mother got a job teaching in Davin School, and we moved to Davin School when I was about 11 or something. And we would play football on the playground then. Eamon Murray, the teacher, was teaching. He was, encouraging football.
That was the old school then?
That was the old school, or the community centre is now.
Right.
And I can remember Eamon Keenan. And just as Sean Morgan sticks out as a footballer of note, from an early age in Knockatown you could see that he was going to be a good footballer. So Eamon Keenan as well in Davin. So, that was my first exposure to football.
And what age were you then?
I suppose I was 11, 12, 13.
Heading off for secondary as well?
Before heading off to secondary, but I played juvenile football too. I remember when we lived in Knockatown in Eshekrinn, Sean Haggerty and Jimmy Sherry would call to take me to juvenile football. And my father wasn't that interested in football, but it always sticks in my mind how comfortable he was letting me away with Jimmy Sherry and Sean Haggerty, because they were men of integrity. And that was.
And Only Conley, he was living beside you there too, wasn't he?
Only lived up the lane from us, and he brought us. Only was a slight bit older, and he was very good. He used to bring us to football.
All right.
He actually carried me to school. I remember taking me to school one day, and my shoes were very tight, and he carried me to school. But he was great. He took us into Shesk and to the football. So
you mentioned Jimmy Sherry there and Sean Haggerty.
Yeah, they were with juveniles, and it always stuck in my mind. That you have to have quality people with juvenile players, and they were definitely quality people, men of integrity, and they've been a great source of.
So did you win any on that juvenile level?
I don't think so. I can't remember winning much, but it was a lot of fun. You had a lot of fun. It was just the games.
Were you about 13 or so?
13 or 14.
Yeah.
Then I went to St. McCartans and played in St. McCartans, and it was, you was a border there, because when we lived in Eshekrinn, it was your only chance of getting a secondary school, because there was no buses that time.
I remember reading a bit about the McGrory Cup match that you were in.
Well, we played McGrory Cup.
St. Columns, or?
Well, we got to a semi-final in St. Columns of Derry, beat us, and they went on to win the All-Ireland.
That's right.
We failed as well, but we had good fun playing. It was your only chance of getting out from college that time if you played football. So we played minor for Scotstown. I was very fortunate in the minor team. I think we won the Maguire Cup in '64 and went on to play in the county final in '68. And Clontarf beat us, and
is that minor now?
No, senior.
Senior in '68. Right.
Probably won. We won a World Cup, I think, in '66 or '68. I'm not sure.
All right.
But we were beaten, and that was nearly the end of my football. Then I went to Canada.
I was often wondering there, Seamus, because I remember I'd be reading through the standards and that, and your name sort of dropped out of.
Dropped out. Well, there was a couple of reasons for that. Probably there was younger players and better players coming on, and they, as rightly so, they got their chance, and they, as they proved, they were.
But I think I know the explanation now. You went to Canada.
I went to Canada. I had been nursing in St. David's, and then we got a chance to go to Canada with a band, and there were 6 of us from the Monaghan area.
So a lot were you in Canada then?
8 years.
Oh.
So that was.
That put an end to your football.
It's funny, there was football out in Canada, but as regard to Scotstown Club, that put an end to it.
All right. So then, what year did you come back from Canada?
Back from Canada in 1980, and lived in Monaghan for 4 years.
All right. Well, the Scotstown Club was going very strong around that time.
It was going very strong.
Yeah.
And I came back out to live in Davenant, where I am now in Killymarn, in '84.
Yeah.
And.
Because the complex, was on at that time,
That's right. I got funny. Jimmy Sherry came round to the house. He had tickets. Again, Jimmy pops up again. He had tickets, £100 tickets.
Yeah.
And he got me involved in selling them.
Right.
That'd be about 80. Was that?
I think that was sometime in the early 80s. It was leading up to 84 because that was centenary year, and then you had auctions as well too.
That's right. There were a number of auctions. Number of auctions to raise funds, and people would take all their stuff that they didn't want to take in the auction, and some of the auctioneers were Peter Sherry and Packy Coughlin. I think even Pat Deary, the actor,
and my father Mick Rooney. He was
a prominent auctioneer at the time. So they only lasted a while because people started buying stuff that they left in the last time. You were buying back the stuff you had left in the time before. So, but
and
the raised funds.
around that time too, because I'm not too sure if you were involved. You see, the Lord Mayor campaign was on.
That's right. I was involved in the Lord Mayor campaign. Yeah, there was a committee. It was to raise funds again, I think, for the complex. And there was a committee on it. I remember the late Donal Lenihan. He was chairman of that committee.
All right. Can you remember the candidates for the Lord Mayor?
Yeah, there were candidates: Jerry McCarville, Nora McCardle, John James McKenna, Willie Smith.
Dominic Smith.
Yeah, that's
I think they call him Willie. That's right. And then what do you call your man from Killeen?
Hugh Riley.
Hugh Riley. That's right.
Hugh was a very good candidate.
Yeah.
So it raised a lot of money, and it went on for a long time. Every candidate ran their own campaign, and they ran functions to raise money.
Right.
Whoever got the most money was crowned Lord Mayor. I think it raised around maybe 36,000 in total, which was big money in the 80s.
Yeah, mid-80s. That's right.
And the man who came out victorious was Jerry McCarville. It wasn't the first time he was victorious, but he was victorious.
But you remember the big personality?
There was a great night when he was crowned Lord Mayor. The envelopes were opened. It was, it was like Eurovision, and the envelopes were opened.
Right.
Jerry was crowned Lord Mayor, and with Mick Lally, who recently passed away, there to crown the Lord Mayor campaign. And Mick was a great character, well loved. He was playing Miley in Glenroe, which was, very highly rated.
See, that whole era, Seamus, that was a great time, like, for the club. For example, 1984. I'm sure you remember too. Remember the John Tracy Day in the village? Do you remember John?
That's right. Funny. I don't remember. I wasn't out myself. I must have been still in town. I remember. It was a big thing. I just saw videos, and Jeannie was chairman. Jeannie McKay was chairman. Right. And John Tracy was after winning silver
at Los Angeles.
That's right. In the Olympics. So it was a great occasion. Yeah. And the fact that he's married to a local girl from mine as well added lustre to it.
That's right. But anyway, there, as I was saying, you were saying there, like, big money, 36,000, like, for a campaign,
Yeah.
And of course, do you reckon that the club didn't feel the job was finished at that stage?
Well, not at all. The history of Scotstown shows a very progressive club, both on the playing field and off the playing field. And when they looked at the field, it didn't meet the needs of the growing numbers that wanted to play football. So there was a committee formed and a meeting called to see what we could do about the field. And so there was a field committee formed to look into the different aspects of the field.
That's right. That's the time they started the draws. Do you remember there wasn't the car draw on that time too, or was it?
There was a big car draw. I think it was €100 a ticket.
That's right.
Which was
£100, yeah.
Which is incredibly big money at that time to look for, because there was. In the 80s, people remember there was a recession on as well.
Yeah.
Don't think it's as bad as the one at the minute, but money was scarce. And £100, which is the equivalent of €127.
Different cars. I remember we supported different garages.
Yeah, there was McChesney's.
That's right. Tommy Minor, I think he was very strong in supporting McChesney's. Like, he wanted to be sort of.
Well, he wanted to spread it out to encompass the whole community.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And now coming on, Seamus, to the field development. I think you're in what you might call familiar territory here now, because you were chairman at the time.
Yeah, I was chairman. I was chairman at the time. For my sins. But it was during that time that the field committee, and it was a great time to be chairman, because there was a lot of work going on, and there was a lot of work had to be done. The FOSS scheme was very good, and Frank McKenna, who was a former chairman as well,
and a builder too,
as well, was the chairman of FOSS. And
he had ultimate responsibility.
But
then there was you mentioned a field committee there.
There was a field committee formed as well to overlook the whole aspect of the field. Okay, they looked for contracts, they put out tenders to see who would do this field, look after it. And there was a lot of aspects of the field had to be. There was some of Paddy Boylan's field had to be got. There was Ballicky Smith's Lane had to be negotiated.
That's right. It had to be
and Sean McCaig negotiated a lot of that in his own quiet way and brought it to fruition.
Many was on that committee anywhere.
There was Frank McKenna, there was James Eddie Cadden, there was Eugene Sherry Drumbin, Brendan Mohan, Niall McKenna.
Right. Niall, he was after qualifying as an engineer at the time, isn't that right?
He qualified as a civil engineer, and of course Niall's a civil man as well.
So you more or less met and you had certain deliberations anyway.
Lots of deliberations, because serious decisions had to be made.
Well, the club more or less left it to you to come back with a big decision.
The field committee would make the decisions, then they'd have to be ratified with a general meeting, which they trusted. They trusted the field committee's judgment on things. So.
And you got tenders in there.
At the end of all the tenders come in, they opted for Joe Pat Prunty from Newtown Butler to do the
Joe
field.
Pat, he lives down there near Dona, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right in the Dona area.
And Austin, I think Austin was the club secretary.
Austin was the club secretary, and Austin has been a great worker for the club as chairman and secretary over the years. And his input was vital as well.
You could say once Joe Pat
and Sean Murphy was the treasurer, so he was the man of the money, so an important man.
Straightforward enough once Joe Pat Prunty came in then, I suppose.
Well, Joe Pat being a great expert in what he does, the sand-based pitches, they're all over Ireland now. But that was the first one in Monaghan, so we were pioneers from such to take Joe Pat to do it.
The last finances you mentioned there, Seamus, I think was the 36,000 for Lord Mayor, but surely you're not going to go ahead and develop a field without money.
No, there were more draws. There was another draw, always another draw around the corner.
Yeah.
And there was a draw in 89, I think in 90, £20 tickets. And they were very successful. You had a great team. The club was divided up into teams, and each team had a leader. Right. And they fanned out over the different areas to sell. And you had people involved like again, Jeannie McKeag, you had Matt McCrud and Sean Murphy. They were looking after the money.
I think there was they were looking. I think Sean Haggerty would have been involved.
Sean Haggerty was looking after the
John
money as well.
Mullen there.
John Mullen, all those
Sean
people,
Murphy
and lots of others as well.
Yeah,
it just wasn't a 3 or 4 man show. It was
you were still chairman at the time.
Still chairman
at the time.
Okay. But they raised in excess. Each of those draws, I think they raised in excess of over £100,000.
Yeah, they were very good. Now yourself and Joe Pat Prunty and Frank McKenna, you're all still sort of meeting each other, and just as development has gone on. I think you mentioned Wilson's to me one time. Yeah,
well, the field was developed, and Joe Pat brought it to conclusion. But then Joe Pat's wishes and